Hello, folks. Welcome in, everybody. A very, very special stream. I'm not used to doing things like this, but for those of you who don't know, which is kind of crazy if you're here and you do not know, a couple days ago, we released a charity single, a cover of Music Box of Fate, together with a bunch of Ironmouse'S friends. That cover so far, by the way, has done incredibly well. We've raised, I believe the last time I checked, about $17,000 for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. So if you contributed to that in any way, thank you so much. And today, we're here to talk about it, because we've been asked quite a few questions in different tweets and comment sections and Discord servers. So we thought this would be a great format to do that. And I'm not here on my own because there were a lot of hands on this project. I'm here with two other people. First is Chris, who was the lead of the Toontime team and one of the members of the mixing team, and also someone who helped me set up a lot of this project infrastructure. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Chris. I work under Saber. Pleasure to be here.
All right, and second is my favorite little car here to my right. Another producer on the song, absolute mixing goat, has ears that are subhuman. It's Lightshard.
Hello, everybody. Very nice to meet you.
Ka-chow indeed. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, today I figured it would be fun if we just slowly make our way through as many questions as possible. We have a lot of things to talk about when it comes to this project. It took us about 2 months to fully put together. We've already gathered a few questions from Twitter and from the YouTube community tab that I posted this on. If you have a question yourself, if you're on Twitch, it's a little easier. You can redeem a channel point reward, 100 channel points, put your question in there, and it'll show up in our queue. YouTube doesn't really have a system like that, so I'll just be watching the YouTube chat as best as I can and picking out questions from there as well. First of all, I normally, when I start a stream, I go and say hi to everyone, but I think I'd be here a while if I tried to do that. First of all, though, I do want to thank you, Murph, for the Prime sub earlier. Appreciate that. First question that we got earlier. Let me pull this up. There we go. Someone asked, this is an incredibly interesting and detailed project. Out of curiosity, how many hours of work did you put in? Judging by this video, I'm thinking a lot. Chris, how many hours did you spend on this?
So, I don't know, this is the type of thing where we realized early on how important of a project this was, and we really wanted to give it our all and do our best work. So I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that for a lot of us, we were putting more hours into this when it was during the height of production than we were putting into anything else. Like, I know I would get home from work and I would hop in the VC, I'd lock in, I'd clock in for job number 2, basically, and just kind of work until the early hours of the morning. But no, I mean, it's honestly dozens and dozens of hours.
Yeah.
I think probably at least like 150 to 200 if we're collectively counting all the production members' involvement across the Toontime team and the 3 of us. So yeah, no, it was a lot, but it was a blast.
Lightshard, what about you? How much time did you spend on this?
Yeah, I think maybe more or less the same. Like at some point, I just like had an entire week off, and I was just like doing triage and cleaning stuff up. So yeah, pretty much the same. It's been a blast.
For me, it was really funny because I had just come off of what I would consider the biggest project I'd ever worked on. I did a song cover of Odyssey, the Hololive English original song, with 57 VTubers that I like planned and organized and mixed basically entirely by myself. And I like that song released on the like 1st of August, and that same night Riku sends me a message about this. And I initially thought, you know what, I've earned a break. I was gonna take like a week and a half vacation. and just like take my time, just go fully offline. And right before that happened, I get a message from Riku. And the idea was so cool that I could not say no. That's my biggest, like, my kryptonite is if I need to rest, but you show me an idea that is too cool to say no to, I will not rest. And yeah, like that first week, I think Riku messaged me the first things about this project. I think the entire infrastructure for like getting the submissions from the community choir was set up within 24 hours after that. Because Chris, you helped me with that.
We moved super quick.
Yeah, we moved super fast on that. I'm so sorry. # rest for Rosa. So, also on YouTube, I have now been reminded by one of the moderators that there is in fact a Q&A feature in YouTube chat as well. So if you're in YouTube, put your question in there and I'll pull it up. But yeah, I think collectively, I mean, obviously the total number of like raw time spent on this was 2 months. Like the project started at the start of August. It was finished just now in early October. So about 2 months of time was spent on this. But I think, yeah, if we're talking hours, collectively, across the three of us, across the additional tune timers, across Nova, the editor, like, yeah, no, I think we're pushing the 200 mark quite easily.
And I mean, heck, like Riku for orchestrating a lot of this in the background.
The entire VTSO, like, yeah. if we count all those people, I'm sure every single VTSO member didn't like record the whole song in like 2 minutes time. Like they probably spent some time on that too. Then we had Azure, the VTSO director, who did the tune timing of the orchestra. That probably took a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
There were so many moving parts to all of this. And then that, once again, that's not even mentioning the, like, what was it, 89 community choir vocalists that we had all record.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I guess we might as well immediately shed some light on, like, how we went about, like, taking on such a huge undertaking. I think there was actually, if I'm not mistaken, there was a question about that. Oh yeah, why is there a Blue Lightning McQueen was a question. Lychard, why is there a Blue Lightning McQueen?
I can only give that credit to our goat, Mimi, Fluffy Ball Mimi, who was like, can I draw you Zakar? I was like, yes, please.
Yeah, good job, there it is.
And she was like, what's your favorite color? And I'm like, this shade of blue. And I gave her like a hex code, and she like, in the next like 15 minutes, like drew a Lightning McQueen card. I was like, this is the best. Hell yeah.
Yeah, frighteningly fast, for the record.
Yeah.
Heck
No,
yeah.
Mimi works fast. Faster than that car can drive. So that's why there's a Blue Lightning McQueen. Oh, yeah, this is something that I immediately want to get out the way. This was a question that I've been seeing a lot in my comment section. Someone asked, any chance that you will do a long version where everyone's full parts are shown? I know the sections where they were shown briefly, the guest singers, but apparently they sang most, if not all of the song. No, that is not true. The guest vocalists, we all gave one line of the song to sing, and then all of them sang the last chorus of the song as well. Which, that last chorus, they were blended in together with that large choir of people. They didn't sing the whole song. Feel free to ask some of those creators if they want to cover the whole song. I'd love to hear a full Marco Meatball version.
Yeah,
but
that'd be great. No, I mean, it would have been so sick if everyone kind of did a full-length thing, but no, it was very targeted. A lot of these creators are super busy. It wouldn't have been realistic to ask these people to, hey, can you actually sing like this whole 4-minute song for us and also hit the D6 at the end just for fun?
Yeah. Yeah, especially that, like, the D6 at the end. The moment, I vividly remember, and I'm pulling up my Discord DMs for this, when Riku first messaged me about this project and about wanting to source the like community choir from his server, the same way that we did for a previous project. God, what is it? Yeah, he said, we're also gonna have open submissions for anyone to record the final section. My immediate response was, you're gonna have open submissions for a sustained D6? You're a fucking lunatic. And then he said, no, the section before it. I was like, oh, okay. Thank God.
Yeah, and we breathed a sigh of relief.
Yeah, no, we all breathed a sigh of relief for that one. I mean, I'm sure that, honestly, we were blown away by the quality of the community submissions. Because we've done a project like this previously where we just let anyone who wants to submit something. We did one for Gargura when she announced her graduation. And we wanted as many people from the creators community to be a part of this. And that includes people who are, like, not at all familiar with singing, but just want to do something for their Oshi. So, like, there are some people who are, like, very good at singing, some people who are doing it for the first time, so there's a giant range of, like, previous singing ability of people that we're working with. And, we were expecting, like, you know, this is a very difficult song, so we weren't expecting that many submissions to be just on, like, a super high level, but the amount that we got that just absolutely blew us away was mind-boggling. We got so many, like, submissions that could have easily been shown off as, like, a solo, and they would have sounded fantastic. Because that's the...
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
I don't know if Mouse's fan base is just full of opera singers, but that's really what it seemed like for the first 10 or 15 submissions. We were like, okay, this might be the easiest job of our career.
Yeah. And obviously there were still people who were definitely, like, singing for the first time or, like, needed some of our assistance. I tried my best to, like, help people as much as I could with their submission. But just like with The World Outside, which was that Gura project, we achieved our goal, which was every single person who submitted something is in the final song. We didn't have to reject anybody. That's always our main goal with these projects, because we don't want to tell someone, sorry, you didn't make the cut, especially when they are putting in time out of their day to do something cool. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings in that way. And everyone made it in. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that meant a bunch of extra work, but I mean, it's worth it, you know, because
it is. Yeah.
Like, as Rosa said, like for someone who maybe isn't as familiar with singing, or they're not a vocalist in any capacity, but they just really want to do something for Iron Mouse, for their Oshi, it's really important for us to help those people realize their dreams as well. So it's you know.
Yeah, except you, Novo. We would have rejected you. That's true. This is very true.
We were trying to get Hill to submit for this one, because Hill keeps holding out. He's like, "Oh, I can't sing," and we were like, "No, look, we'll make it work." Do your best.
Yeah, because you two both submitted, right? You two both sang as well. Yeah.
Yes,
I didn't. I'm a pussy. I would never do that.
Yeah, we are in there. It's super cool.
All right, let's just move on to another one. What made you all inspired to be involved in the cover for Ironmouse'S song?
I mean, I got the message from Riku, and I was like, I'm in. 'Cause I didn't need a lot of convincing.
No,
truth be told.
It first of all, like, after we wrapped on the last, like, project like this that we did, which was for Gura, ever since then, all of us have kind of had the, like, itch to be on another project like that, because it was such a fun thing to work on. Token, thank you for the 36 months, god damn it. This was such a fun, that was such a fun project to be on. And all of us were like, damn, we don't know what it's like to not work on this, because that was like a 2-week crawl, everyone making like 16-hour days for 2 weeks straight, and then at one point it was just done, and we didn't know what it was like to not work on it anymore. So a lot of us were feeling the itch to be on a project like that again. And the moment that I got that message, like I told you, I was gonna go on like a 1.5 week like break. I was gonna completely disconnect from the internet for a bit. And that one message almost immediately convinced me not to. And then there's the alternate side, which is like, you know, we've all followed what has happened to Iron Mouse and to the entirety of V Shoujo and to the money that she had painstakingly raised for charity not actually ending up for... I need to play Megalovania, I'm sorry. God damn it. God damn it. Why did I leave that in? Why did I...
We knew it was gonna happen, too.
Fuck you, that's all you get. God damn it. But yeah, like, we've seen... I was in the middle of talking about, like, the shit that Iron Mouse has gone through, and I have to non sequitur into Megalovania. God damn it. Like, we've all seen the stuff that Mousy has gone through, and that, and obviously when that all happened, the community immediately came together to raise money for the Immune Deficiency Foundation, which went incredibly well. That's, to my knowledge, kind of what birthed this idea, not just to raise money for the Immune Deficiency Foundation, but also to do something for Iron Mouse directly. And yeah, the moment I saw that, I was like, I can't say no to that. It's too, like, good of a cause, and it's too cool of a premise for a project. I need to join in on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anyone deserved this, it was Mouse for
100%.
that she's had on the VTuber scene, and yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, when you see people who are such positive influences going through, I mean, some of the worst things imaginable. Truly, you want to do everything you can to be there for those people. So, I think that was kind of the core inspiration.
Also, I want to quickly go back. Someone in chat said, if you guys got Connor to work, you can make anyone work. Shout out my man Connor. He put his fucking all into his submission. Do I immediately tell the crash out story about Connor?
I mean, now's a good time as any.
Now's a good time okay, so, before I go into this, I just need to say, Connor is a fantastic human being. I am so appreciative of the fact that he was willing to do this. I know how nervous he is when it comes to singing. Like, he's been very open about that on stream and to Mousy. So the fact that he was, like, willing to lay that fear aside for this project is incredible. But I just need to say how this man submitted his vocals is nothing short of diabolical. And it is so incredibly funny. So when we were starting this project, we know a lot of people are not super familiar with like how to record and like how to submit and whatnot. So we made an entire guide document, like a step-by-step guide of here's what you do to get your vocals as high quality as possible and to get them to us as easily as possible. And then we made a Google form that people could submit that to. Now in secret, we made an entire alternative guide and Google form for all of the creator guests and all of Mousy's friends, because obviously we didn't want those to get mixed in with the community submissions, since the community submissions were being tuned and timed also by a team of people we had drafted from the community, and we didn't want them to see any of this. We didn't want that to be public info. So that was in a separate document, and we sent that document to Riku, who sent that document off to people like Roxy and to all of the other creators that he himself was in contact with. And some of them did submit exactly how we asked. Most of them did. Most of them submitted exactly how we asked. But then there was Connor. And we, for the guests specifically, asked, can you send us your audio, like record it in like Reaper, Audacity, BandLab, whatever, export it as a WAV file, submit it to the form. And Connor, and then on top of that audio file, you had to submit a video that we could use for the actual final video that would go to Nova, and Nova would edit that in. Connor only did one of those, and that was send us a video. And he opens the video with like, by the way, my mic is on a separate audio channel in this video, so if you just take that audio channel out, then it should be all fine. Which, on a surface level, yes, that is technically true. The only problem is that an MP4 file does not support high quality audio. It does not support lossless, that's for sure. So like the audio in there was already like compressed down. But that's fine. Like that's funny. I've had people do that before, and it's fine. We extracted the audio out of it and we kept going. But then during this 5-6 minute video, he is like figuring out the song, and he picks a section that is like extremely difficult. But that's not the section that he was supposed to sing. So he tries like really, really hard to nail this segment that is far more difficult than we wanted him to do. And then he realizes, oh shit, this is not the section I meant to do. And then he gives us a single recording of the section he was actually meant to sing, which is what ended up in the final video. And then what you see at the end of the video, I tried my best fucking banger of a song, I sing this every morning, that's actually how he ended his video submission, and we were laughing so hard that we couldn't not include it.
There is no more footage after he finishes that sentence.
No, yeah, that's it.
He presses the stop recording button.
Yeah.
That's the end.
I don't think we can release that tape because not only is Connor's like raw vocals in there, and we wouldn't want to put those out there. Like we would want to only do that with permission. But we're not gonna pester him. He's very busy. A lot of these creators are, which is why, like, you know, if you want to ask creators if they want to like release their own version of the song, go right ahead. But we are not releasing anybody's like raw vocals or like full tape or whatever, out of not just respect, but also because we would want permission from them, and they've already done so much for us. We can't go out and ask them those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. To add a little bit more onto why maybe it was annoying to have the audio submitted as a form of a other audio track on the video file is that not to get like too technical, but obviously that is like compressed audio, so we're losing fidelity there. But second to that, the audio is going through the vocal chain that he uses for his stream.
Yeah.
Because he just pressed record on OBS.
Yep.
So this is like the most hyper compressed like vocal compression sound that has ever graced my ears. Man's practically got a limiter on his voice. It's crazy. And I don't know if like you've ever noticed this when you watch Connor's stream, but his microphone like clicks all the time. I'm so sorry if you've never noticed that. Now,
no.
Maybe if you notice it, you won't be able to unhear it. I was in the mines, dude. I was spectral patching out these like little clicks like every time. I don't know if it was like lining up with when his noise gate was opening or something. He's got to increase the attack time on that thing or something. I don't know, but it was a whole process. That's kind of what I meant when I said that we did a really exhaustive triage process on all these guest vocalists.
Yeah.
We really wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything distracting in the audio that was being sent to us. So yeah, sometimes in the case of Connor, that meant a lot of extra work, but we had to do it.
For the people who don't know what we mean by triage, it's a term that we kind of use between us. An alternative term that I've been describing it to people is quality assurance. It's not doing any like processing on the audio yet. We're not like tuning or timing or mixing it in any way. We're just taking the audio file, and if there's any like unwanted noises, whether that's just like a background hum of like PC fans, or whether that's like some clicks from something, like could be mouth clicks, for example, then we're literally committing surgery on these audio files, so that by the end of that step, the only thing that we have left is this person's voice, nothing else, so that we can move forward with like the highest quality version of those vocals possible. And that meant that if you're someone who like records with your usual setup and your audio is already compressed, that increases the amount of work in that step by quite a significant margin. Which for our community choir, we didn't need to do that. We still did for a large majority of them, but we didn't need to be that precise because it's a massive sea of voices. But for like our guest vocalists, we really wanted that to be like as locked in and tight as possible. Which, yeah, caused us to pull our hair out a tiny bit. Just tiny bit. Right, Lightshard?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm unfortunately not as adept at using RX as these two are. So I left most of the triaging to the two of them, especially for the guest vocalists. Very fun to watch. Do recommend.
Oh my gosh, the amount of times we like cut out like little parts of like dips in the vocal, from like high frequency peaks, or either just like the vocal dipping out in volume, for some reason, if like the interface that they were recording with just like dips out. Yeah. But on the flip side, we learned a lot. I feel like we learned so much just working on this project together.
Oh yeah. No, this was a mad learning experience. All right, we have one more question from before the stream, and then we'll start getting to the ones that have been asked. Chris performed the equivalent of brain surgery for Connor.
Yeah, I know that's right.
All right, we have. I need to zoom this one in a little bit. What's it like? First of all, what's it like carrying such overwhelming talent between your ears? Oh.
That's so nice.
Thank you. And then real question, were there any notable challenges that we experienced while producing this? The reason that she says Rosa spoke of one story, I told this story about Connor during the watch party that we were having in the server. But, I mean, you kind of heard some of the other challenges already with, like, the triage step was absolutely the... I think that was the biggest challenge for this project, is getting, like, the vocals to be as clean as possible. And then, Chris, do you want to tell the story about how you tried to automate something with code for a while?
Oh, yeah. So I talked about this a little bit in the breakdown video that I posted on my YouTube channel, but one of the things that we did for the community choir was we loaded everyone into VSS, Virtual Soundstage 2. In an effort to make it sound like the choir was in a real concert hall performing together as one cohesive unit. So one of the things about that piece of software is that when you first load it onto an audio track in your DAW, in your music software, the little dot that you can use to interact with the positioning or the placement of that sound it's not labeled, there's no color, it's just called unnamed. And that becomes a problem. Yeah, then that becomes a problem when there's 89 little dots that you have to figure out what they correspond to. So one of the things that I begrudgingly did, because this was at a portion of the production process where we were a little bit exhausted, low key, is I wrote up some code in Reaper, because you can script Reaper as a DAW, to actually go into the plugin data on each individual track and then copy the name of the track into the VSS instance. We did all kinds of crazy like logistical hurdles to make sure that it wasn't just an overwhelming amount of manual labor to position everyone. Because then, of course, once you have everyone in there, you have to drag them to the appropriate spot. And if you don't know what subset of these dots are the sopranos or the tenors, then you don't really know where to position them. So that was certainly something. Yeah.
Another, I guess, a challenge that we definitely overcame by the time that this project was like properly ready to go. A challenge that we had for previous projects like this is how do we take submissions from people in a way that we can like properly organize everything, and we can keep like a very high level view over how much is done, how much do we still have to do, how many submissions still need to be processed. For the last project we did, The World Outside, that ended up becoming a little bit of a clusterfuck by the end of it, but because we had so little time, we didn't really have the time to organize that clusterfuck, we just kind of had to work with it. And that ended up going fine at the end, but for this one, we definitely wanted it to be more organized. And I knew that I was going to want to do more projects like this in the future, so when I was working on that 57 vocal cover of Odyssey, I was like, okay, I know I'm doing this on my own, but I'm going to build this infrastructure as if it was for a project that more like tune timers and mixers were working on. So I started by making a Google form that just simply asks, put in your name, put in your Discord username, put in a link to any piece of social media that you would like to be credited as, and then upload an audio file to this Google form. That audio file would then, a link to that would end up in a spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet is what I worked on next. This spreadsheet essentially had 2 tabs. The first tab would show you the Discord username of the person we would need to reach out to in case anything was wrong, a link to the file, and then a column for an assignee. So if you were on the triage, the QA team, that was the first step, your name would be on there. You'd be able to put your name onto that file and then set the next column to in progress so that people knew if someone started working on this, I don't need to worry about that. And then the moment that that's done, you upload your audio file to our Google Drive. We made a shared Google Drive for this project. You put the link to it in that sheet, and that file then automatically goes to the next tab, which is the tune timing tab, where once again, we had Discord username of the person we would need to reach out to in case something was wrong. And we had a link to the QA'd file, so the reviewed file with any changes made to it that needed to be made. In that step, assignee for all of the tune timers, you could put your name on it and say, I'm working on this, and then there was a little progress checker and a little notes thing at the end, because we had quite a few people on this project that were completely new to tuning and timing. So shout out to Chris here, who kind of gave them a bit of a crash course on best practices, and then we sat in a Discord with them and helped them out to learn our process. And then once it was done, we put the file into our shared Google Drive, put the link at the end, and then those files would all be in one proper folder, so that the moment we were done with tuning and timing, we could just download the entire directory, and we would have all of the tuned and timed files just ready to go for the mixing step. That was a challenge to figure out how to set that all up, but once that was set up for this project, it worked like a charm. Did we have any issues with the submission process in the end?
I don't think so. Not that I can recall.
No.
No, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It all just came in.
There was one issue at one point where I forgot to set the limit of how much data we can accept. I forgot to set it to like 100 gigabytes. It was set to 10 gigs. At one point we ran out of that storage. I forgot to just increase it. That was like the one issue that I guess we ran into with storage space. And a partial reason of that is because for like the first couple of days, all of us were exporting in stereo. Even though for vocals, you have no reason to export in anything other than mono for just tuning and timing. Only once you're starting to mix vocals in is when they become not mono. But we had no reason to export in anything other than mono, so all of our files were just twice the size, even though they didn't need to be. But we figured that out quickly.
Oops.
Alright, I need to add some more questions into this, so give me a moment as I do that. Because we've just had a bunch of new ones come in. We have you, boom. I think that's all of them. Alright. Question from Atlas. What is the biggest "oh, I'm going insane" moment from this project, in both good and bad insane?
Oh gosh, Chris, do you want to take that first?
Yes. So I would say the high frequencies in most of the voices, as per usual for voices, I guess. But like, there was just an immense amount of like high peaky frequencies that we just had to notch out, and like I think we had like between 5 and 7 sessions where we were just like sitting and notching out individual frequencies from like all the vocals, this including like the community and like the guest vocals.
Dude, I think this project has the most like scuffed and cursed like EQ instances I have ever fucking seen.
Yup. But yeah, it's not even like just de-essing. It's like in the high frequencies, when you breathe out, you get like really high peaks. Just because of how like the air moves through like your mouth and like through the tube through your voice. And like getting those notched out before you're even de-essing is so like critical. And that gives you like such a smooth tone. So yeah, that was like one of the big parts I think for me, like working on the project. There was just so much like to do, and each time we went back, we like reiterated.
Yeah,
and it's different for everyone's voice. So it's
is.
not like it's a one and done where like it depends on the person's voice, it depends on their microphone, it depends on the day that they recorded. Because we actually had multiple submissions, like from both Riku and Daryl, where they did their recording sessions across 2 separate days, and things like proximity to the microphone, or like just literally any small little minute deviation essentially meant that those resonant peaks in the high frequencies manifested at different places. So we had to essentially start from scratch on each of those 2 different recording sessions, kind of treat them as wholly unique, just to make sure that we weren't missing anything.
Yeah.
I'll give a good I'm going insane moment. I think like the thing about this project. Yes, we had a lot of really like cool, high-profile creators on this song. Riku refused to tell us who he'd reached out to and who was like recording. So we had no idea who was gonna be on this song until we saw a submission from them come in. So we were kept in the dark too while we were working on this. So the moment that we knew that someone was on the song was if we saw a submission come in on our tracker and it had a name on it. And then at one point, there was a submission from someone whose name was Mystery Guest. How fun! The reason that it was Mystery Guest is we now know her as Victoria Roman, but she hadn't revealed that name or identity anywhere on the internet yet. Also did not reveal it to us. Riku knew who it was, obviously, and who it was going to be. But we did not know, so we just had someone with Mystery Guest, and the only video was just like the silhouette, right? The silhouette that's on like her Twitter profile picture, and that was in the song itself. So we had no idea who this was. We only found that out like Nova made like basically the final render of the video, and then Riku was like, actually, hold on, Victoria Roman just revealed her name on the internet. We can change the name out to actually say Victoria Roman, because for the longest time in the video we just had 3 question marks, and in the credits as well we just had 3 question marks because there was no name there. So like a day or 2 before the video was supposed to, or like before the video was finalized, we changed that name out. But in terms of going good insane, that did mean that every time that a new vocalist came in, we would immediately be like, holy shit, that's so cool. I think Connor was obviously the one that most of us popped off at the hardest. It was also one of the last ones that we got, was Connor's. Which was that genuinely surprised all of us. The one that really genuinely surprised me, though, because Connor was, like, possible, because, you know, Connor's close to Mousy. So that was, like, reasonable. The one that surprised me was Marco. I was hoping that he was going to be on this, because obviously, you know, he did a pretty, like, iconic reaction to the original song, where at the end he goes, like, yeah, no, Iron Mouse sings, like, I'm pretty sure that if Iron Mouse sings like this, like, she could book, like, pretty reliably. And obviously Mousy reacted to that, and they had some fun doing back and forth reactions. That's why I was like, well, Marco is like a professionally trained opera singer. It'd be really cool to have him on this project. And then at one point, he just showed up. And I know he said in his own video that he sung awfully. Obviously, we are all our own, like, hardest critic. But I thought he did wonderfully, and we were so delighted to see him.
Yeah, it was so cool to see his name pop up, and yeah, I mean, to Rosa's point there, we think he sounded great. So yeah, he shouldn't beat himself up too much. But I guess to comment on something that Riku said in chat about him not wanting to build people's excitement. Yeah, I mean that completely makes sense. There were people that were reached out to that unfortunately, due to time constraints or for whatever other reason, weren't able to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Honestly was better for everyone involved to not have expectations that a particular someone might be on the song, only for them to not be able to do it at the end, unfortunately. So it totally makes sense. It did make like full understanding of the scope of things a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, it didn't end up being a huge issue. So,
no. And my biggest like fangirl moment was definitely one of the earliest submissions that we got. Shout out to the entirety of Vichiban. They were super fast with getting this done. I'm a big fan of all 4 of the Vichiban creators, so seeing them on here, immediately I was like, holy shit, that's really cool. We definitely all fangirled a little bit here and there. Like, to all the people who saw me watching Mousey's reaction, I don't think I hide that very well. We are all fans of these people as well, so the fact that we were able to work with their voices is a genuine honor. Shout out to Roxy as well for getting Vichiban involved. Roxy, Mousey's manager, for those who don't know, instrumental in pulling this project together because obviously she has connections that we don't. It was also thanks to her that we basically got a back door into Ironmouse'S Spotify so we could release this song under her artist credit as well, so it would show up on her page and more people would see it. She helped us with that. So, Lamau. Thank you, Roxy, if you are watching this, for making this happen. Cool. Alright, ads are currently running, so I'm not going to go to the next question just yet, because ads are running on Twitch, and I don't want people to miss anything, major. So, what? How can we? I saw someone ask the question earlier. We can handle Riku's one in the ad break. What's the worst part of working with Wunder Riku? Let's do that while the ads are running, so not a lot of people see it.
Finally, time to pull out the Google Doc.
No, yeah. No, the amount of times I threatened Riku with a Google Docie over the course of this project. Oh my god, no, I'm kidding.
No, man, honestly, shout out Riku, for real. He's a real one.
Yeah, no, the Riku is someone who, I don't know how he puts trust in me, because literally, the way that it went for at least both Chris and I, is when he was recruiting people for the world outside, both of us just like replied to a tweet. Was it? Did you also reply to a tweet, Chris, or did you get in another way?
I just DM'd him.
DM'd him, yeah.
The funny thing about that is that I always say this. I almost didn't even send that DM.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did, because I mean that's, chain of events. I ended up here, but yeah, I mean we were like, I didn't know who Wunder Riku was. Like, in all honesty, I just like, I saw this, like I wanted to do something for Guru, and I saw this thing, and I was like, it just felt right. Like it felt like it was calling to me. So, for that to spiral into everything that it's turned into, I'm really honored to be in the position that I am.
Speaking of, I did know who Riku was, but that's only because, and Riku doesn't remember this, because I've asked him before, he didn't fucking remember. I understand why, but I met him very, very briefly for like 10 minutes at Vexpo in 2024. And like, we were talking and he showed his stuff, and I found him and I was like, oh, that's, J-pop songwriter, made some banging tunes. So I gave him a follow on Twitter at that point, and that was kind of, I saw a few of his posts pop up occasionally, and then I saw that he was recruiting people for this. I was like, oh, I'll step in on that. And somehow, through that, I ended up as a... Atlas, don't tell me you'd forgotten that we met Riku at Vexpo. Atlas was with me. God damn it.
That's tough, Riku.
That's tough, Riku. You're forgettable, man.
That's tough.
Thing is, he didn't remember me either. Girl, I was so not with it mentally. It was a year ago. So when I was invited to that project server, I was like, okay, I'm just on the tune timing team. But I ended up putting in so many hours that eventually, like, I just got message being like, yeah, you've been promoted to co-lead of the team, by the way. And I was like, oh, okay. And then later he reached out to me and was like, do you want to do the tune timing of Callie, Kiara, and Ina? Which, once again, I was like, oh, okay. And and eventually, because of how well that project went, like, The World Outside was a miracle project. Like, I don't know how that went off without significantly more hitches. But it did, and I guess Riku was like, damn, I trust this girl well enough that, yeah, sure, I'll reach out to put her on this new project as well. And then Lightshard is a friend of both of us, who is an absolute audio goat that we rely on for a lot of critical feedback and analysis and almost everything that we do. I've sent multiple songs that I was working on to both of these people and go like, hey, does this sound like shit? And if it does, can you help me make it not? Like, I think at this point the three of us are like fucking a trio in crime at this point.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Alright, anyway, worst part of working with Wonder Riku, you're too whimsical sometimes.
That is the realest thing I've heard all day.
Your joy and whimsy is amazing, but sometimes you are too whimsical and we just need to do something. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, man. That is a compliment, but also... Sometimes we need less joy and whimsy in the world, people. Right now in the VTubing community, we need more, but this man needs less.
He's hoarding it all for himself, but
Yeah.
no, for real.
Let us have some joy and whimsy. Sparkle, fuck you.
No, I mean, having someone like Riku in the space who like orchestrates these types of things and gets people together under these really great causes. I mean, honestly, it's super inspiring. So
Yeah, it really
I can only
is.
hope to follow in his footsteps. He's a really cool dude. If you
Yeah,
guys
for
like
sure.
don't support Wonder Riku for whatever reason, I don't know how you wouldn't if you're here, but like go check him out. Like, he's crazy.
Yeah, check out his stuff. All right, Lightshard, do you have some Wonder Riku slander before we move on?
Wonder Riku's too nice. I said it.
Yeah, damn. Cuss us out more, man. Tell us that what we're doing is bad. He's aight. All right, next up. Oh, this is a fun one. I cried like 3 times when Music Box of Fate came out, and this charity concert version made me cry just as much. Why did you all do this? The answer, funny.
Yeah, we're secretly actually evil people.
Yeah.
We just want to make people cry.
Yeah. Feel those emotions, bro.
Yeah, emotions are tough. They're tough.
But I guess on the topic of emotions, I didn't really let myself get emotional about this until it was out, and
Same.
then I got emotional.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
I don't know. It's like one of those things where as easy as it would be to let emotions like take a hold of you during the course of a project like this, it was too important to let that type of thing affect at least me personally. So I like really tried to like lock in, be as professional as possible for the entire duration of the production process, and then when it was all out, then it was like, I don't know, like, so something released in me, and I was able to let those emotions out. So it was kind of a cathartic release for me as well at the end there.
Yeah.
There was one point throughout the project where I was working on the community choir, and everything was like starting to come together. And yeah, needless to say, I just like at one point I realized like how many people are involved and like how much work is going into this, and I listened to the entire choir together, and I was like, oh shit.
I know we had a collective moment.
I just sobbed.
We had a moment in this when we were first setting up that like VSS instance for the choir. We hadn't listened to like everything together without the VSS instance. We were just trying to integrate it immediately. And I vividly remember the first time that the script that Chris was writing like worked and everything was properly set up. And we hit play on that. I'm pretty sure like within 5 seconds of listening to that, all of us just went, holy fuck. And like we were all just speechless for a little bit because we had not heard like the whole tuned and timed choir together in that VSS instance, because that does help like a lot, because it spaces everyone out. It adds like that realistic reverb of it being in like a concert hall. We made sure to like follow proper like seating etiquette for both orchestras and choirs, and splitting up like everyone's vocal ranges in a certain way so that the right voices would be brought for the volumes of each type of voice would be brought forward the right amount. And we were like speechless when we first heard everything together.
It was really, really special. And then once we had that, I remember also when we sent the first draft of I think it was just the orchestra and the community choir maybe at that point, like just some version of that in the mixing chat that we had, and Daryl heard it for the first time, and she was like, and she had a similar reaction. And like same with Riku, and like, you know, because I don't know, like the way that you react as an individual is one thing, but then like when the people who like created the original song like also have a similar reaction to it, it's a really surreal thing. So that was really cool to have happen.
Yeah. Shout out to Daryl, by the way, for effectively giving up her song and handing it to an entirely different group of people to work with. Like, not only to handing it, I know she's worked with Yam in the past, but like letting Yam arrange it for the VTuber Symphony Orchestra, letting that happen entirely just away from her, and like and trusting us with like mixing that all together. As someone who's like occasionally pretty protective of the stuff that I make, like that's a difficult thing to do, to trust someone else with something that's so near and dear to you. So shout out Daryl for like allowing us to make this project happen. Yam's first thing with Daryl was the original music box. Yeah, Yam also did the orchestration of the original, or the like adaptation to an actual like proper orchestra on and scoring it, arranging it out for the original Budapest Scoring Orchestra. Yam also did that, and she did it again for the VTSO here.
And on the topic of people putting trust in us, not only did Daryl trust us to kind of put everything together, but also shout out Azure from VTSO for trusting us to mix his orchestra.
Surreal experience.
I mean, what an honor to work with VTSO, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
If there is any like, if there's anything from this project that I would want to do again in the future, it's like doing something with VTSO. Because
100%.
Working with, like, yes, it's not a live orchestra in the sense that the entire orchestra's in the same room. It's almost cooler than that, in my opinion. Because
I agree.
With a live orchestra, like, you'll place a few mics around in, like, each section, but obviously you'll have some bleed from, you know, like, you'll hear the brass instruments faintly on the mic that's, like, in front of the strings and whatnot. So you can't do that much in mixing, because ultimately, like, all of that is in the same room. There's bleed from all of the mics. If you adjust something on one of the mics, you kind of have to adjust it everywhere, so you can only really adjust the, like, orchestra stem as a whole. At most, you can mess around with volumes a little bit. But for this, like, we had every single player entirely separated out. So if there was, like, one frequency or one like thing in one singular person's performance that we were like, oh, if only we could like dip the high frequencies there, or like a very small frequency range there, just a tiny bit, it would sound just a lot smoother. We could actually do that. So we could like go at this orchestra with like a fine toothpick and make it as like perfect as possible, and that's so cool.
And that's exactly what we did too. I mean,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
really went in. So I talk about this a little bit in my breakdown, but we actually did a similar audio restorative pass on every single member of the VTSO that we did for the guest vocalists. So we did the same background noise removal, spectral patching, resonant frequency removal to a degree that where we were still prioritizing keeping all the instruments sounding as natural as they possibly could, but we wanted to make sure that we had the cleanest input so that we could replicate a really huge orchestra sound without compromising on anything.
Yeah, I love the VTSO. I saw someone from the VTSO ask like, what was your opinion of the VTSO before and after this project? I was already aware of it before this project, and I thought you guys were cool. Now I think you guys are like incredible. I was not familiar with your game.
Yeah.
And I would love to work with even just a few of the members of the VTSO again. Not even just like the VTSO as a whole, but like individual members of it. If I ever need any like live instrument recording, I know who to reach out to.
Yeah, we know the people who are for the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like I like went and followed everyone on Twitter, just to like keep in touch and stuff, to like see what VTSO is up to, and each of the like instrumentalists are crazy, dude. They're so good.
For those, if you want to follow the entire orchestra, it didn't fit in the description of the video. We didn't have room to like give everyone like a social media credit link, but this doc has the links to absolutely every single person who was on this song. So if you want to like just go on a following spree and just hit absolutely everybody, that's the place to do it. Anyway, let's move on. Was there anything that you guys wanted to keep in but couldn't, like some diamond in the rough or something like that? Oh god, was there anything that we like cut?
So there's one thing that comes to mind for this. I remember so the part where Riku sings what's the line? But there's a line. There's one of the lines that he sings where he has a lot of really cool grit to his voice, and I remember when we heard that. When he first submitted it, we were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It would be so awesome if we could get this into the song. And at that point in time, that was actually recorded as a backup line for someone who ended up not being able to be a part of the thing. So that was kind of a double-edged sword that person wasn't able to be a part of it, because on one hand it meant that they weren't going to be in it, but it also meant that we were going to be able to include that really cool recording from Riku.
Yeah.
So there definitely was a point in time where there was a danger that wasn't gonna make it in, but I'm so glad it did, because it's really cool.
Yeah, and then there was another line from Riku that didn't make it in, because Riku did a lot of like, at one point, once we'd accepted a decent amount of submissions from some of the guests, and we were still missing a few, we were like, okay, we aren't quite sure if we're going to get these, because these people are very busy. We might, like it's been a couple days, we might, some of these people might either have to refuse or they might not respond. So we suggested to Riku, just if you could just record the lines that we're missing, so that we at least have something, which is why there's like, Riku has 2 lines in the song, or in like the 2 lines before the final chorus. That was for that. And there was actually another one, right after Daryl's solo line in the song. Riku was supposed to do that. But then we were like, well, if Riku got, like, an extra line in the song, it would actually be really nice to just extend Daryl's part out a little bit further. Because, you know, she composed the damn thing, and she has a lovely voice. So if she wants to, why don't we let her do the rest of that line as well? And that's where the COVID comes in, because we asked that to Daryl, and Daryl was like, ooh, I don't know. I just like got COVID a couple days ago and I'm still kind of recovering. So we immediately said, don't worry, we have a line from Riku, you don't need to do this if you don't want to. And then I think only like 4 or 5 hours later, she said, okay, I actually did record it. Apologies if I sound bad. And she didn't. She sounded great. But we were all just, what's wrong with you? Are you trying to like one-up Mousy on recording that D6 with a sinus infection? Like what's the what's the plan? But she sounded great, so we put it in, and that's why like Daryl's line at the end of the song is now, or at the end of the second verse is now a little bit longer, which is really cool. And she keeps saying that she's not a very great singer, but I think Iron Mouse already beat her up enough over that, so I'm not gonna dwell on it. Iron Mouse beat the shit out of her live on stream for that one. I spray bottled her to co-rest. That was absurd, yeah. No, shout out Daryl for still recording that. Also, please take good care of yourself. But I don't think there's anything else that we had to cut. Like, all of the community people that submitted, they all got in. There wasn't like any like instrument in the orchestra that we had to take out back and execute. There was initially, instead of electric guitars, we were gonna have acoustic guitars, but those never got recorded. Like, we just got the electric guitars instead. So, like, those didn't really get cut. That was just, like, an idea, but we ended up going with something else. I believe Iron Mouse said, quote, eat shit. Yeah, she did. She definitely did. So, yeah, no, I don't think we had to cut anything, which is kind of a crazy thing in, like, such a massive project. Like, surely there's always something that ends up on the cutting room floor, but not really. Nothing that we were, like, mad about ending up on the cutting room floor. Like, the only thing was, like, some of Riku's backup lines, and the only reason that those didn't end up in the song was because they were replaced by guests that otherwise would not have been on the song. I mean, obviously we were very glad to put Riku on the cutting room floor, but that aside. Alright, next question. Here it is. Oh, this we already answered. What was the biggest challenge that you guys faced individually or as a team during the production process? Yeah, we've gone over that. If you are only coming in the VOD a little later, you can skip back a little bit. If you're watching on Twitch, by the way, this whole thing is also being streamed on YouTube. This VOD will be archived on my channel, so you can watch it at any point, skim through it. I'll probably put some timestamps in the description once the stream is over, so that you can just skip to any question that you're interested in. If you are watching the VOD, hi VOD gang.
Hey VOD gang, I guess for the VOD gang, as a little treat, I'll put in an additional personal struggle. So I went on vacation.
Oh,
the production
right,
process of
right. We had to do 2 project transfers.
I went to Europe for 2 weeks. I was out of here. So at that point in time, I transferred the project to Lightshard, and then I got on the plane and I went, and then I got the DM. He was like, "Hey, like the Melodyne data got corrupted. It like didn't load in the project." And I was like,
Mother,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course it did, because why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So there I was at the little vacation home on the 5 megabit download, 2 megabit upload internet that couldn't support more than one simultaneous client. Zipping up the little audio files, trying to upload them. Upload fails like 3 times. I'm like, I want to go to bed, man.
And then the funniest thing was, like, you transferred it over to Lightshard because we thought, like, oh, this project is gonna be done within like the next few days, because there were still a couple of things that we were waiting on. But we thought, like, oh, this project, like, at most is gonna be a week, so by the time that, like, you're back from vacation, like, this song will be out. And that ended up not being the case. That it ended up taking, like, an additional, like, 2.5 weeks longer, just because there was some other stuff that we were rating on, and we were, like, polishing it up. So, at one point, like, you transferred the project back to Chris, right? Or did you never transfer the project back at the end?
No, we did. So
Yeah.
because then we traded places. Because then Lightshore went on vacation, so he can tell that part.
Yeah. So like, I got the project. I was like, okay, cool. It'll be just like the usual, right?
Yeah.
Melodine works. No,
it doesn't.
No. I opened the project, and like, all of a sudden files are missing. And all of a sudden the Melodine data is gone. And I'm like toggling bypass, and it's like, okay, great, nothing works. And I messaged Chris, like he said. But like at one point I was like trying to go through like the project data and like re-script things to actually work. I relinked paths to like audio files, like by hand. And like, it just, we eventually just we were just like, okay, let's just render the audio files like back, and then he just sent me the audio files.
Very
like,
slow and painstakingly.
Yeah. But yeah, so then I got the project, and then in that time we got the electric guitars, which were freaking sick.
They're so good.
And
shout out
I
Cha-Cha.
ended up like trying like meticulously to like get the amp design to like sound the same between the two. From like the ones that were submitted. So I like spent a good like a day and a half or so just like going back and forth and like between like a bunch of different amps and a bunch of different cabinets. And I tried like really hard to like match the tone, but like get like a smoother sound from like the overall tone instead of like recreating something new. So that was awesome. Yeah. But after that, like I got to like one point where I was like, okay, I think this is at a good point where I don't have like enough to contribute anymore, and I feel like Chris would like have like that nice meticulous hand to like make everything nice and smooth again. So to like reseed it back into the project, and he just pulled through. So I sent it back to him. It was great.
And also, it's because you went on vacation.
Yeah,
So...
and also I went to vacation today, but it was more like he came back, and then it was like, okay, this is like maybe gonna work out, because like I was gonna take stuff with anyway, and I did, like just in case we were still gonna work on stuff, but then it ended up like just working out that way. Yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah, we got it done. Yippee.
Yippee. Yeah, and then I got to spend a little bit more time just polishing everything up. We went through a couple like final mix and master revision passes with feedback from Riku, just to make sure that everything was sitting right for him. Because when you work on anything for an extended period of time, your ears get used to the way things sound.
Yeah.
It's harder to make objective decisions about like, okay, is this actually the correct direction, or does this just like sound good in my head? I mean, there's so much that you can do to try to mitigate that on your end. Like you can listen to just recording of noise to recalibrate your ears to a particular tonal slope if you're working on mixing, or you can listen to it on a number of different speakers. Like you can listen to it in your car or on earbuds or this type of thing. But nothing really is going to replace like the final go ahead from the person who's going to be posting it on their channel. So we had to make sure that it was perfect in all aspects. So yeah, that took a little bit of time at the end there, but we were able to get everything to a spot where everyone's really happy with how it turned out.
I'm so happy with the final product, and I guess like it was both a blessing and a curse that some things on the project were taking longer. Like there were so many people involved on this, and the more people you have involved, the higher the chance of like something taking a little longer than expected, because there's just so many moving parts. But that kind of ended up being a little bit of a blessing for this project, because like Chris said, the more that you work on something and the more that you listen to something, the less that your ears will start to be able to point out things that need adjusting, because you've just gotten so used to what you're listening to. So the fact that this project took a little bit longer meant that once the bulk of the work was done and there was just a couple of things that we were waiting on, there were occasionally times that none of us would touch the project for a couple of days, and then we'd come back to it, and suddenly there would be like a few things that we noticed that we immediately want to change, because our ears had been far away from it for long enough that we actually started to be able to hear those things again. So that kind of ended up being a little bit of a blessing in disguise, and it definitely did like raise the quality bar for this project, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, having that extra time made all the difference, I think.
Yeah. That was, I guess, the nice thing of this compared to a project like The World Outside. The World Outside was tied to Gura's graduation. We had 14 days, take it or leave it. But this, obviously, the sooner that we can release it, the better, because, you know, the things that happened with VShojo are still very fresh in everyone's minds, and the things that happened with Ironmouse are still fresh in everyone's minds, and we want to, like, deliver that support to her and to the Immune Deficiency Foundation as quickly as possible, but there wasn't a hard deadline. Like, if this song was going to take 2 weeks longer, it was going to take 2 weeks longer. We didn't have to stick to anything. So that just meant that, like, we were able to take our time with a lot more things to get it across the finish line in a much more polished way. Because The World Outside, as amazing of a project that was, obviously we would have been able to give that so much more polish had we had even just, like, an extra week, right? And that's not to say that the song is bad, because it's fantastic. But, you know, that's the joys of only having 14 days to finish something. Saw the clip of you reacting to Iron Mouse reacting to the song. You mentioned something about wishing you had gotten more time for Office Drummer. Oh, yeah. So the thing is, because we had so many guest vocalists on the song, obviously we wanted to include all of them while they were singing on screen. But there were also, like, 3 of Mousey's friends and creators who did drums, which was Office Drummer, bass, which was Riptide-san, and guitar, which was done by Cha-Cha. And we wanted to give them time to shine in the video as well, but it's just so hard to pick a place for that to happen when you also want to give each singer, like, the screen time while they're singing. So we were only able to include a very short clip of Office Drummer, Cha-Cha, and Riptide-san. And what I said in that video is I wish that, like, somehow we could have found a way to show more of Office Drummer in the video, because he was having such a blast. He was having such a good time with the whole song. Like, genuinely, shout out to that man. He has so much fun in what he does, and, like, it oozes out of his performances. That really made us all smile. So that's what I meant by that, is, like, I wish we could have shown that off even more, because he's an incredible drummer. My biggest regret, I wanted more space for everything. Yeah, that's just, like, the joys of having so many things to put in the video, and there's not enough room for all of it. So shout out Nova for, like, being able to make those decisions and, like, creating a final video that very much was, like, up to what we all wanted it to be, and even a little bit better than I was expecting that was going to be. Partially also thanks to Crayfish for that 3D animation that they did of Ironmouse'S Cry For Me model on the music box, which was really cool. So yeah, the video was definitely, like, fantastic, but there are so many things that we wish we could have shown off, but there just wasn't the room for it. Alright, next up. Who was the most surprising mouse friend to join the project, in your opinion? Someone you weren't expecting. I already kind of went over this, but for me it was Marco. That Marco was the one I was, like, most surprised and delighted by to see. I don't know what it is for the two of you.
Yeah, I don't know if there was anyone in particular that, like, I wasn't I don't know. It's just like my familiarity with Mouse's friend group is maybe not on the same level as Rose's. So I didn't really know what to expect. So I was honestly really excited for everyone who was able to join the project.
Yeah, same here. Oh yeah, I mean, Nova, like you said, yeah, Mint was very cool to see. Mint just going, mate fucking Mint, she is on my SSD. No, that idol trio, by the way. Shout out Victoria Roman for arranging the harmonies for their part. That was not us who did that. That was her. And they sound incredible together. What were you going to say, Ledger?
When we got them panned into the positions that they were in, and, like, we pressed play on that, it was so satisfying to hear them come together like that.
Was there anyone you were surprised to see, Lightshard? Or were you just happy to be here?
I was like, I'm new to the space, right? So like everything, like meeting everybody is like so nice, and like seeing everybody like around in the community is so cool. So like I have been following like Rose Doodle for a while, like just on the side, like it randomly came on to like my YouTube short feed, and like seeing her in the project was just insane.
She's so
like,
fucking funny.
I know you.
I've heard of you before. No, Rose Doodle, by the way, she was talking a bit more on stream. But after the song went up, I popped into her live chat and people were talking about it, and she was talking about it. And she mentioned how she was so nervous recording for this, but like she had to because it was Mousy, so she wanted to. But how she was like super nervous to do it, and especially because you have to imagine they are being sent this form specifically in Vichibon's case. They were being sent it by Roxy, Ironmouse'S manager. And Roxy just said, yeah, submit it to this Google form and the people working on this song will handle it. But, like, we're complete strangers to all of those people. Like, they probably are aware of Riku and Daryl, but, like, not us. So, you're effectively singing something, a very difficult song that you're already nervous to sing, and trusting a group of random fuckheads from the internet to like process it and make you sound like as fantastic as you possibly could. That's a hard thing to do. At least our community choir, like, we were in the server, they were talking to us, they could ask us any questions, so they were familiar with us. These guest vocalists had no idea who was going to be working on this. So, shout out to all of them for like trusting us with that.
Yeah, if any of y'all are watching, we appreciate you guys putting your trust in us. It's hopefully we were able to deliver.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Next up. So I knew nothing about this project until I saw the video the other day. Did you plan to contact Mousy's friends from the start, or was it a fan-only thing first? To my knowledge, and Riku, if you're in chat, you can correct me on this, the idea to get Mousy's friends involved was the plan from the get-go. I'm pretty sure that at least the moment that you reached out to me, you already mentioned that to me. We just didn't tell anybody.
I think that was my understanding as well, that was going to be like the secret for this project, because every Wonder Riku project has a secret.
No, it does. We had the world outside had fucking the entirety of Hololive Myth just randomly rolling up to the function. That only like 6 people in the team of over 100 were aware of until the song went out. The VTSO and our community choir did not know who the people on this song was until we posted the first graphic with like the silhouettes. By the way, okay, speaking of the silhouettes, shout out Vrontis for making that image. There was one person on that silhouette and I was like, oh, no one's gonna guess who that is, because it was the fucking Nyanner's worm. And as a joke, I put in the Discord, like, hey, if anyone wants to, like, you know, name some of the silhouettes, like, go right ahead and we'll see who's right. And one person, within 5 minutes, immediately said, I can pick out Nyanner's worm. And I'm like, how the fuck, what?
They clocked it immediately.
They clocked it straight away. Which is very, very funny. But yeah, no one on, like, the community choir or the orchestra side knew who was gonna be on this song until either that graphic was posted, or for some people, until the video was posted, because, like, yeah, there's a silhouette of Connor in that image, but, like, I don't think many people were like, is that Connor? Because it was just a guy, right? There was no... It's hard to make a silhouette out of a person that isn't a VTuber and have it look, like, super distinct. And he was just resting on, like, Daryl's shoulder in the image. First one I clocked was Rose, and I was like, oh no, which shirt is she wearing? Dude, Rose's fucking 2-seater shirt killed me when I was checking the video submissions, when when they were first coming in to make sure that they did it right. And the moment I open Rose's and I just see the fucking two-seater shirt, I lost it. I'm like, we're gonna submit this super, like, emotionally charged project to Iron Mouse. She's probably gonna cry watching this. And this, like, the third person in the video is Rose with her smug face and just two-seater with an arrow pointing at her face on the shirt. Incredible.
Honestly, iconic.
Actually, yeah, genuinely iconic. But yeah, no, to my knowledge, that was the plan from the very beginning. Which we had to keep that a secret every time, like, someone asked us a question, like, okay, hey, we're the community choir and we're singing, like, the last chorus, but, like, what are we doing with the rest of it? And we kind of just had to dodge that question. Because we can't give, like, a half answer either. Because we'd either be just straight up lying and going like, oh, like, if we would say, oh, we're just gonna use, like, Ironmouse'S original vocals for it. Like, that's a lie. We only did that for one section. We also couldn't say, oh yeah, we're getting people to do it. Because if you say we're getting people to do it, then the immediate next question is gonna be, okay, then who? And it doesn't take a lot of deduction to realize that we're trying to get some of her friends on. So we just kind of had to dodge that question for 2 months.
Yeah, there was a point in time where early on I was working on doing the orchestra mixing and some of the work on the community vocals in a Discord called Enriku's server.
Yeah.
And at some point that just stopped because the guest vocalist files entered my hard drive and I was worried.
Yep. No, we were doing almost all of our work in, like, a public VC that just anyone could sit in on. If, like, you were a part of the choir or you were a part of the VTSO, you could just watch us work, ask some questions. Because it's just cool to be able to, like, show that off and to be with other people when that happens. But, yeah, the moment that we got any guest vocalists, we basically immediately moved to a private VC. Watch out, there's a bald person behind you. What? Where? Huh?
Yeah, I have a name, you know.
God damn it. Fuck you, Joe. And the same thing happened with me with the world outside. Like, the moment that I got Callie, Kiara's, and Ina's vocals on my PC, I stopped sharing my screen of what I was working on. I was still sitting in VCs, but I was just like, oh no, I don't really want to share my screen right now. I'm not really working on much. Meanwhile, I'm tuning the vocals of Maury fucking Calliope. So, I almost outed myself on that one too. I don't think we had any risks of outing ourselves with this one. I think we kept the OPSEC pretty clear for this one. But multiple of us on the world outside almost outed ourselves, like, repeatedly. That was happening. It's really funny. But it didn't happen for this one. I think everyone was very pleasantly surprised.
Someone asked in the chat if VTSO was mentioned early. I do believe VTSO's involvement was public.
Yes.
But the guide file was not VTSO. I think the guide file was the original instrumental.
Yeah.
For the song.
Yeah. The guide that we sent to all of our guest vocalists, we used the original instrumental done by Budapest Scoring Orchestra. But VTSO's involvement was, to my knowledge, also a plan from the at least reasonable beginning. Because they completed that in record time, by the way. Like, they did an entire, like, arrangement, and then the recording, and then Azure did the tune timing. I believe in the span of, like, a week and a half, 2 weeks. Which...
Yeah, I think Azure said 3 weeks, but they were already working on that before we got the call to come on board, I believe. So there was a little bit of an extended... like, pre-production phase before any of the actual community involvement or guest vocalist involvement began.
Yeah, VTSO was asked before the community, vocal call came out. Yeah, that makes sense. Y'all knew about this before any of us did. Goddamn. Alright, next up. Oh god, this is an interesting one. How many channels was the final Reaper mix? Were all of VTSO's instruments separated for you, or did Azure just give you a final mix for that part?
So there was no final mix that we received for the orchestra. That was all done on our end.
Yep.
It's kind of difficult to estimate track count because the track count is inflated by things like each group counts as its own track, and we do a lot of parallel sends in our Reaper project. So there's a lot of extra channels. the raw track count in the final integration project, where like all the guest vocalists are and all the instrumental stuff is, and this is including things like parallel sends, is 50 tracks.
Yeah.
But this has a fully mixed down like 32-bit wave file for the orchestra.
And a fully mixed guest
open
vocal,
up the
right?
orchestra project.
And the community choir, yeah.
Yeah.
The community choir is also in here.
And that was one stem. Like the to my
Yes.
knowledge, if we count like all of the stems separately, we have 89 community choir singers. We have 14 guest vocalists. And then the VTSO, if we also add the VTSO choir, that was like 40, I believe, in total. And then on top of that, we had the drum track from Office Drummer, we had the bass from Riptide Sun, we had the guitar from Cha Cha. So we're looking at like 130, 140 total like tracks on this. And then if we also want to add like all of the like parallel sends and like effects tracks and group tracks in the Reaper project into that, like we're probably ending up with like 160, 170, if not more.
Yeah,
I would
and
say
not all
at
of this
least
was going to work in
200,
one.
Maybe.
Yeah, at least 200, you think? Yeah, you
I
honestly, you
think
might
so,
be
because
right.
there's
Yeah.
lots of reverb things happening too.
But yeah, not all of this is in the same project. That would have been a nightmare disaster to load up every time. I just don't have that much RAM, so
No. We used sub projects for this, and that's a tactic I've also been using recently. For that 57 VTuber song cover, I got a lot of questions of like, how did your PC like cope with that size? But that's entirely because I split them up into like a bunch of smaller projects where I essentially did 3 vocalists at a time, and only once all of the processing on those vocalists was done is when I sent it into the main like mixing project, where the only thing I would still do is like do any small like EQ dips that needed to be done, usually in the higher frequencies, and do stuff like reverb, delay, whatever, right? That was so the mix project was actually pretty easy to run. But if I needed to condense that all into one project, which means I would need to have like 50 something Melodyne instances and a bunch of like EQ and compression, multiband compressor instances, TDR Nova, which is a fantastic plugin, but famously not very kind to your processing power, that becomes an issue quite fast. So that's why we split these things up, we condense them, and the moment that a stem is ready to go to be moved on to the next step, we export it out, throw it into a bigger project, or throw it into a project, I guess, one level higher. And then at that point, if any like smaller changes need to be made, that can just be done on that fully mixed down stem, which I'm pretty sure we still did in the project. Like we dipped out some mid frequencies in the instrumental based on like the community choir, so that things wouldn't start clashing or wouldn't get too loud in certain frequency ranges. But that was all just done in the final mixing project and not all in one go. If we did this all in one go, I think our 3 computers together wouldn't even be enough processing power to handle that.
Yeah, 100%. And also the modularization of the project in this way meant that we could kind of delegate different tasks to different people. So Lightshard has the master project for the community vocalist. I don't even have that on my side. So the only thing that I have for the community vocal is the final stem itself.
Yeah.
So this kind of allowed us to not like send the project between ourselves fewer times, because we were able to kind of compartmentalize a lot of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also it allowed us to multitask at the same time. Like you were able to work on the instrumental project while I was working on the community vocals at the same time, and I just like updated stems towards you as we were going.
And on top of that, the when it came to the tuning and timing, that was done like even more separated, because the tuning and timing we sourced to a group of people from the community. 3 of us were all a part of that too, and Chris was leading it. But a lot of people worked on that, and the only thing that we asked people to send was just, when your tuning and timing is done, just upload the final file. and put it into our Google Drive, put it in the spreadsheet, and that's the file that we then used in the community choir project. But by that point, the file had already gone through both a triaging or QA session and a tune timing session. So it was already like mega processed before it even ended up there. So if you like follow the whole chain of events down, like there's so much done on every single stem in this project. Because the same is true for the orchestra. As you're tuned and timed each orchestra member, then it went to us. The whole orchestra was triaged. Then it was put into the orchestra project. In some instances, we still had to make some like retuning decisions because things moved really fast with the VTSO, which means that the score in some parts had like one note that was like either one flat or one sharp or something like that, and we needed to like fix that up so that it still sounded good in the arrangement. So there's so many layers to this project of like processing for each individual like stem, and it's wild.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
All right, next up. The questions are still coming. Keep them coming, guys. I see that a lot of people are also like asking them just in the live chat. If you could do us a favor and use either, if you're on Twitch, use the channel points, and if you're on YouTube, just put it in the Q&A that's at the top of the chat, because then it just like organizes them nicely for me so I can pull them up a little easier and I don't have to like scroll back up in chat if I remember seeing a question. This makes it a little bit easier. Okay. Any constructive tips, improvement, or critique that you would offer to the family choir for the next project? Oh God. What is my choir mom inspirational advice to my little babies? Well, first of all, you guys killed it. I've said this plenty in the chats in the server, but if you were one of the people who sang on this song, whether that's obviously that includes the VTSO choir and that includes the guest vocalists, but number one best choir mom, get her a mug. I would love a mug that says number one best choir mom. I might have to look into that. If I can get one made.
Yeah, we'll get on that.
Yeah, gotta get on that. But I am always astounded by the amount of people that are willing to like go out of their comfort zone for this. I always say there's a reason I became a mixer and not a V singer. Because like if I sang myself, I could just do my own mixing. But there's a reason I only work with other people's voices. Because I don't want to work with my own. I have to listen to my own voice when I'm like watching back VODs or whatever. Plenty enough. I don't want to deal with that. I don't have the confidence to do that. So whenever I've told you that you should have more confidence, know that I am fully not listening to my own advice. Just do with that info what you will. If that makes my pep talks less valuable, then I do apologize. But it always amazes me how people go out of their comfort zone to be a part of projects like these, just to do something for the greater good. I guess if I have like any advice, or like improvement for people, my number one improvement would be read, in the nicest way possible. We write these very like detailed guide files for people so that they can, follow a step-by-step process, and the vast majority of people followed them extremely well, even more so than for the world outside. The world outside, a lot of people were like not following the guide super properly. For this one, like the vast majority of people did exactly what we asked for. Now, granted, some of that documentation could have been worded a little bit better. We're also learning, like, we're seeing the mistakes that people are making, and sometimes I go, that's probably because we worded this poorly, so we did update the guide document slowly over the course of the project to, like, make things a little clearer. I didn't teach you how to read SMH. Oh, sorry, my bad. But I guess instead of just being silly and going Lamau just read better as like my piece of like critique, there were some instances where some people submit something and like we have to send it back for whatever reason, and then I find out like, oh yeah, I wasn't sure if like this was how you wanted it, and I kind of just went ahead with it. And I guess my the point of potential improvement is, if you're not sure, I don't bite. I love all my kids equally. You are all wonderful people. If you have any question, you can just come to me, and you don't have to do that in the server either if you're a little self-conscious about if you think it's a stupid question. I don't think those exist, but you can just message me directly as well. Some people did, which thank you for trusting me with helping you. If anything, I feel like your ability to stream alongside working on projects so often is a lot more effort than it is to just submit a recording. I wear many hats. I do many things. I try my best to be cool on the internet. But yeah, just like if you have a question, just reach out. I guess people don't really know this, but I work on a lot of like commissions for VTubers as well. I do a lot of vocal mixing for them. And one of the things I enjoy doing the most is holding somebody's hand throughout the whole process. There are quite a few VTubers that I have worked with on their first ever cover or their first ever time participating in somebody's cover, whether that was like the Odyssey, the 57 VTuber project. There were a couple people there who'd never done something like that before. And then I've worked on some like VTuber concerts in the past, where there were some VTubers there who it was their first time ever trying something like this. And I like to make sure that they have a good first time, because this industry can be pretty harsh and some information is hard to find. A lot of mixers and a lot of artists, to their credit, like they're just wanting to, you know, get paid for their time, and work through their commissions like as efficiently as they can. A lot of people are not willing to like sit down and like guide you through that, because that's a lot of time that you need to spend on something like that. So a lot of like mixers and artists don't do that, and I completely get why. But also I feel bad that then there's no one there to do that for people. So I tend to do that. And when I'm working on projects like these, I operate the same way. If you're not sure of how something works, just send me a message. I'll help you through it. If I need to sit your ass down and like teach you how Audacity or like the basics of how to record in Reaper works, like I'll do it. I've done it plenty. So I guess that's my one like I guess point of criticism that people could work with. I don't know if
I was just gonna say, we fully recognize like how hard it is for other people to just to sing to begin with, but then on top of that to record yourself singing
and sending it off to someone
to it back and living in that uncertainty of not being good enough. I know what that feels like. I've been there, so it's, you know, we appreciate everyone doing their best so much. Everyone who recorded showed up, they did their best, and that's really all we can ask for.
Yeah
I really appreciate like how many people went through the trouble of actually getting the technical specifications right. Stuff like sending them in WAV. Like a lot of the files were just in 24-bit WAV, which was great.
Yeah.
I think for me, the one tip I would probably give is if you want to one-up like your quality by a lot and save like the audio editing team a lot of effort, I think my one piece of advice would be to either get like a super cheap like pop filter, or make one that's like a closed rack and just like some like stocking sock or something. Another like ghetto way is to use a dish like sponge, one that looks like SpongeBob, like the yellow ones. Like those work great if you just have like an inch away from the mic and then like 2 inches away from your mouth while you're singing. That works great and doesn't color the sound as much as like other materials can. So
Yeah.
if you want to save like your editing team a lot, I think that would be my singular one tip.
I guess I have one more tip, and that tip is not one that you can execute right now because I'm still working on it. But I just finished writing a video script that I like to call the 7 Deadly Sins of Vocal Recording, which was partially inspired by this project, but partially inspired by a lot of other projects that I've been on. I'm currently working on that video, and it's effectively just a comedic, educational crash out of like some mistakes that I've seen people make, that I've worked with over the years, and how to avoid those mistakes, which are most of the time extremely reasonable. Like those, if you're not being told to not make those mistakes, you probably don't even know that you're making one. And I'm currently working on that video. I just finished the script for it last night. I'm still refining it. And I'm gonna be recording that soon. Hopefully that video will be out within like 2 weeks or so. Which, if we ever do another one of these, that video is gonna be a mandatory viewing for all of you. Not to inflate my own numbers, but to save us time. It's gonna be mandatory class material.
Heck yeah.
Also, we are just heading into another ad. If you're on the Twitch audience, don't worry. We will wait before going to the next question for a few minutes until everyone's back from the ad, because we don't want anyone to miss anything. Oh boy. How are you two feeling? Are you two feeling up for more, or are we starting to get close to the end? Because there's still a couple more questions that we have.
I'm feeling good. I mean, let's do as much as we're able.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm vibing.
I was gonna watch it regardless. I'm gonna start making fucking mandatory educational material for my kids. I'm gonna homeschool all of you. God damn it. So true. While I was learning to play bass, I got told not to do something that I didn't even realize I was doing. Yeah, that's the thing about like music, and about like, especially when it gets a little bit more technical, because a lot of the like mistakes that I talk about with vocal recording in that video aren't like, they're not like mistakes with how you sing. Like I'm not a professional vocal coach. Like I can try and give you some advice here and there, but there are people way better at that out there. I would like to become better at it, but I think to be a professional vocal coach, you also yourself need to be a very good in control of your own voice, which I'm not. So there are better people on the internet to help you with that and with like singing technique. But this script is entirely just about mistakes that you make in how you've set up your recording, and like where you position yourself, and like the equipment that you use, and the space that you're using. So it's all like things that even if you are already a like fantastic singer, if you've never been told that, you might not know that like that trick is out there. To be fair, one of the main pieces of advice that is at the very end of that script, and I will actually say that here immediately, is if you're sending a recording to somebody else and you want to make sure that like you followed all of the steps properly, listen back to it yourself first. That is something that a lot of people don't do, and understandably so. Listening to yourself singing sucks. Especially if you are like very new to it and you're very self-conscious about your voice. Listening to yourself singing is hell, and I know that it is. But the amount of mistakes that you yourself could catch if you listen back to your own recordings, it saves so much time on both ends. Because if you make a mistake, not only are you saving, and you catch it yourself and you decide like, okay, I need to re-record this because I did something wrong, not only are you saving your mixer time, because they don't need to then, listen to it, realize that mistake is there, and they either need to fix it and spend time fixing it, or they need to like message you back. So it doesn't just save them time, but it also saves you as a creator time, because let's say you're wanting to get this mixed and you want to release this as a cover, or it's for like a project that has a certain deadline to it. sending that out, and then let's say a couple hours later you get a message back. If you're already asleep, you're not going to see that until the next morning, and then you need to, you know, set your recording back up and get back to work and, you know, submit it again. So you're saving yourself time as well. So it's worth trying your best to learn to do that. Now, you don't need to, like, hyper analyze it all, but at the very least, just, like, giving a listen to it, and you don't need to worry about, like, if you hit all the notes, but just, does it sound like you peaked your mic at any point? Does it sound like something distorted? Is the background noise probably just a little too loud? Is there too much going on? Did your mom just turn the washing machine on in the middle of the recording, and is it a lot more audible than you thought? Stuff like that you can definitely catch yourself without having to pay too much attention to whether you, like, hit all your notes or whether your timing was good. That's, like, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give. Anyway, I think ads are done, so we can go on to the next one. What is the best takeaway / thing that you learned from doing this project, either management-wise or audio engineering-wise? Oh, God. I think management-wise, for me at least, like, I've learned a lot over not just this project, but over the course of the, like, multiple projects that I've been on like this now. These projects sound like they're always going to be a gigantic, like, clusterfuck, no matter what you do. But it turns out it's not actually too difficult to keep everything organized. I didn't necessarily learn this information now, but man, Google Sheets are your friend when it comes to doing stuff like this. It really is. If you're a project manager and you do not know your way around automating stuff in Google Sheets, get on that. Especially if you're working with a lot of other people. Now, there's probably other tools which can, you know, do that very well too. But if you just need to set up something super quickly that you know everyone will have access to, Google Sheets, 100%.
Yeah, having the logistics figured out for this ahead of time was such a blessing. Because I remember when I was first getting involved with the world outside, we didn't have anything like this built out. So I was like building these super quick spreadsheets just to like try to have a semblance of oversight over the full workload and that type of thing. But we realized that we wanted to do something more substantial for future projects after the world outside. So having a sheet that you could just look at and be like, these are the files that need to be triaged, these are the files that are available to be worked on by the Toontime team. It helps you as a team lead basically have an understanding of what's going on in the project. Should I ping my team to tell them that there's work to do? You can also like celebrate little milestones, like, oh, the work is caught up on, like you guys get to go home from the mines for the night a little bit early.
I had a really fun moment like that happen where I was working through triage at that point, or I think I was like the only person who was like it was early in the morning. I was the only person who was like doing triage in Toontime at that point. And I remember, like, you know, I was working hard. I'd already been going for like 3-4-ish hours. And at one point, like, everything was caught up. So I sent a message in the vocalist chat, like, hey, if you submitted your vocals, good news. All of the vocals that have been submitted are accepted and they're triaged, they're tuned and timed. So, like, you do not have to worry. If you submitted vocals, you're done. And as I was typing that message, no more than, like, 5 seconds before I hit send, someone in the chat sent, just submitted my vocals, and I was like, God fucking damn it. I still sent the message.
So close.
But it's stuff like that that's just really funny. But that allows you, like, those tools that we built allowed us to like have very like raw oversight on just how much progress we had made and how much was still left to do, which meant that we could also like constantly judge, like, do we need to get on right now to do some work, or should we just wait for a couple more vocal submissions to come in? It definitely felt so much more relaxed than the world outside did. Now, granted, part of that was because we didn't have a deadline, but, like, we were still trying to have the entire choir, like, tuned and timed within about, like, a week and a half, 2 weeks. And the moment that we closed submissions on the choir, like, we finished all of the tuning and timing that same night. Like, we were that caught up that when we closed the form, there were only like 2 or 3 submissions left to handle, and those got handled pretty much straight away. So we were done that same night with the entire choir, and that was partially very much due to how organized all of that was. So I guess that's like it's not really something that we necessarily, it's not a new thing that we learned on the management side, but like it's something that we are so much more adept at now. And I know for a fact that, like, if these projects are ever happening again, we can set up the entire infrastructure for something like this in a night. Easily. Because, like, we know exactly what we're looking for. We know exactly what these spreadsheets and trackers need. So, it just becomes such a fast process. So, yeah, in the event that we do something like this again, not only will I be rounding all of you up to sing again, personally, your front door, lock your windows, but we'll also be able to just, like, get it going super fast. So if some big VTuber decides to graduate on the spot and says, you guys have 1 week, fuck you, then hey, maybe we can make something happen.
Yeah, we get to keep that momentum.
Yeah.
Because obviously when anything happens that causes people to rally behind it, being able to be ready to go is so instrumental in maintaining momentum.
Yeah.
I can only imagine like how different it would have been if we had to delay the call for the community choir by even like a week. Mm-hmm. It's just like the sooner that you can get things moving, the better it is for morale for the project and for the likelihood that things get seen through the end. Because I mean, to be honest, I think, like, looking back on it, on this particular project, it was like, well, of course this was going to get done, but it's not a given. So it's not a given that these projects go smoothly enough to, like, and don't have hiccups to where they're actually able to be seen through to the end. So I think that's just a testament to our preparedness and our dedication to, like, getting this done, that it did end up coming out. But, you know, it's just one of those things that you always have to be cognizant of whenever you're doing a community project where there's a lot of moving parts, that you have to be able to account for things going wrong. Like, do we have a backup for this particular situation? So yeah, like having all of that knowledge kind of in our tool belt from previous projects that we've worked on both together and independently, I think really were instrumental in making this project a success.
Yeah. It sucks to have to, like, think about a project like this in this way, but, like, what Chris said about, like, momentum, if something happens in the VTubing space that, like, people want to rally behind, to get these projects to the quality level that we want, and with, like, the giant list of people who were on it, like, we want that list to be as big as possible, and the only way that we can do that is by, like, immediately capitalizing on those moments and, like, putting ourselves out there, marketing what we're doing as best as we can. Like, we put out a lot of tweets in that first week. I cannot even begin to tell you how many Discord servers with, like, other VTubers and VTuber fans that I was in, that I sent a link to this project to, being like, please, if you're, like, at all a fan of Iron Mouse or her work, or you want to, like, do something cool for charity, like, come help us. And it feels weird to, like, use a moment where a lot of people are, like, feeling pretty down to promote something like that, but that is the only thing that we're getting a project like this to the insane level of quality that we got this one to in the end. So, and that's why it is so important that we've, like, really figured out that pre-production now, so that if something like that does happen, like, we can just immediately get it going. Like, someone can message us an idea, and realistically, if we want to, we can start taking submissions the very next day. which that's a really cool thing to now like be able to do, and that's probably something that's going to aid us in the future at some point, which is awesome. That's management side. Did we learn anything cool audio engineering wise? Because I feel like we can talk about that for like hours if we want to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'll mention right off the bat is that we really stepped up our game in terms of audio restoration.
Oh yeah.
But both like skill set and just effort put into it.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the biggest development on this project as compared to previous. I don't know, it's just one of those things where it was so important to us to deliver the highest quality that we possibly could on this that we did not hold back when it came to dedicating hours and hours into making sure that every submission sounded the best that it possibly could. And we learned a lot in doing that and dedicating ourselves to that cause.
Yeah. Do you have anything, Lightshard?
Like, I think for me, like the biggest things were also that, like just getting a lot of the cleanup, like skills down. There was a big portion where I think we just sat down and like talked through what would be the best method of like going through voice, just on one voice, like going through and processing them from top to bottom and not stepping on like the previous processing's toes. So yeah, this was like amazing for that.
Also, I feel like we took our like choir mixing to a completely new level compared to like any other projects that we've done. Like we obviously Chris and I did The World Outside, then I did Odyssey. Chris did something that has P&M has been announced, right? That's is that up or is that not up yet?
It is not out yet, but so I guess a little leak, but another big community project, VTuber project coming soon, sooner than you might think. Sooner than you may think.
But we've had multiple of these projects under our belt now, but none of them have had the amount of polish that this one did, in part due to like virtual soundstage, the plugin that we used to like spatialize everything out, because previously we just like kind of panned everyone's vocals into a direction. We just randomized the panning a little bit, didn't think about it too much. That's what we did on The World Outside. Like everyone's voices were just like, did you like have any specific rule for the panning in that, or was it just randomized, Chris?
So there is a particular script that we were able to use in Reaper for The World Outside that proportionally panned like all the selected tracks like across the stereo spectrum. So we had equal representation, but then after that point, of course, you have to go back in and make sure that no one's like overpowering on one particular side. So that's just like one part of the strategy.
But for this project, we handled it entirely differently, because instead what we did is Azure helped us categorize all of our vocalists into 4 vocal ranges: alto, soprano, tenor, bass. And we looked at a couple of like arrangements of how these choirs are typically, if they were in like a physical concert hall, how would these people be seated relative to the microphone, to like push every single vocal range forward an equal amount. And based on the amount of people that we had for each different vocal range, we chose one that fit right for this project. But that on its own, just like taking that time to like learn how those seating charts work, taking that time to divide everyone up, and taking that time to position everyone in a way that made sense, made this choir sound a lot more like a professional choir, which was the idea for this project, and a lot less like what we had on The World Outside, where it was very much meant to sound like, you know, school kids choir, very like not super processed, very like natural, and like with a little bit more like margin of error. We didn't really have that for this one. What was the seating arrangement? I can pull up what the VSS instance looks like. To have an
Yeah, if
actual
you could pull
image
that
of
up,
that.
that'd be good.
Um,
I am like so dumb when it comes to what the seating arrangements for orchestra and choir actually are called in terms of that type of thing. I just like
Yeah.
I just know what they look like.
Yeah, this is how we arranged everyone. We had the sopranos on the left. We had easily the most amount of soprano submissions. We had tenors closer to the middle, still on the left. Basses close to the middle on the right, and then alto all the way on the far right. So we put the ones that we had like the most submissions of on the outer edges, and then we put the ones that we had a little bit less submissions on the inner sides. And we made sure to like balance that each side had one higher range, one lower range, so that would like balance each other out nicely. So that's the one that we ended up going
it's
for.
kind of arranged like in a zigzag in terms of frequency.
Yeah, basically. Like you go like it's basically decently low, very high, super low, decently high. That was the order from left to right. Surprised how even the tenor and bass spread is. Honestly, so are we. But also, like, I was not expecting as many, like, higher range vocalists to do this song. We were expecting the majority of people, like, they asked us as soon as we put this up, can we sing this, like, an octave lower? And we just said, you can sing this in any octave that you want. As long as you are singing the same note, whatever octave it's on, doesn't matter. And we were expecting to get the majority of submissions in the lower ranges, like the soprano and bass ranges. Like, yes, we did get a lot of sopranos, but we got way more, like, people singing the original octave than we thought we would. Which was fantastic. To see that. So that was really cool. We got a lot of those early on. Early on, we were worried that we weren't gonna get enough sopranos and basses because we thought, oh well, everyone's just singing it in the original octave. This is gonna sound like a much higher pitched choir than we were expecting. But no, we ended up getting a lot of those lower range submissions as well later in the project. But yeah, if you're interested in virtual soundstage, by the way, we had to find a, I would say not so legal copy of it, but there was literally no place on the internet where we could buy this software. It was abandonware. It hadn't been updated. It wasn't being maintained. We couldn't get this software anywhere, but we were made aware of it, and we knew that it was exactly what we needed. So we found a copy of it eventually somewhere using using one of those classic old school keygen things that play silly music when you open them up. And it just so happens to be that literally now, like 2 days after this song is uploaded, the virtual soundstage is now out as a free plugin with no expiry. As actual freeware, so you can actually use this plugin now. Which
the developer came back after 10 years of the software being abandonware.
What a fucking timing! Like legitimately.
Literally today or yesterday.
Yeah, no, it was. I can put the tweet in chat real quick. Because it's literally right after this project was finished. Suddenly, the developer of this tool comes back. And gives us this plugin out for free. So if you ever want to mess around with it in the future, this is the tool that we used. It's just out there now.
Yeah, completely free, no strings attached.
Yep.
It was updated to support VST3, and it runs on newer Macs now as well.
That's true. So it's even better now.
With the previous versions. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool that this is out there now for people to do these types of projects more accessibly. Yeah,
this plugin is 100% going into like our roster whenever we do a project like this. Like that's just how we're going to be handling these now, because it just makes the spatialization step so much quicker and so much higher quality. So yeah, we are 100% going to be using this in the future if we ever do another project like this. All right, do I have, yes, I've seen another question pop up. Awesome, let me quickly add that into our images of questions.
That's right, Wonder Riku. We are still talking about Music Box of Fate community charity single raising money for the Immune Deficiency Foundation by Starlight Daryl Ironmouse Wonder Riku.
Feature. Oh my god,
Oh my gosh, the late feature.
while I set this up, so first of all, when we first got sent the link to like the pre-save of the song before like we publicly announced it, like Riku sent it and we were like, oh, we can't put this one out there because it has the names of all of the artists in it, which meant that it was literally, it said like Music Box of Fate featuring, and then just like 15, 16 different names. And the DistroKid link is like an entire novella. So I shared that story with people after the project was out, and then someone said, "Oh, we should make a version of this that also includes all of the guest vocalists." So if you'll indulge me for a moment, do you wanna listen to? Where is it? Come on. Do you want to listen to this with me? do you guys, do you want to listen to our song? It only has a few names on it. Just a couple. I'm not gonna read them all out. I'd be here all day. And that doesn't even include the VTuber Symphony Orchestra either. That only includes, like, the community vocalists and nothing else. Alright, next question. Why did that... Huh? Hold on. I didn't add it in properly, I think. No, I did. There it is. Who got Shiro Beats to do the credits remix, and why does it slap so hard? Shiro was originally going to be on our mixing team. Didn't have the time, but was messing around with the song and made that and sent it to us. And we were like, you know what? Let's put it in the credits. Like, that's some place to put it. We need some music to put in the credits. And we just, you know, we put that Sea-Dog clip at the very end of him kind of goofing around. And we knew that clip was kind of gonna, you know, take Iron Mouse out of the crying a little bit. Like, that's, you know, some lightheartedness after something that would probably make a lot of people very emotional. And so to just then have some, like, banging beat blaring out of the speakers was just really funny. So we put it, we ended up putting it in there. So shout out Shiro Beats for delivering, like, those two different beats on top of the cello solo. That's kind of, I don't think we have any other elaboration on that. That's just, it was funny. That's how we got Shiro.
Good answer.
Good answer. For the record, Shiro did also do the mixing on The World Outside, which is why she was approached to help with this one. But Shiro is a very busy gal. She does a lot of cool things on the internet. Yeah, if you go follow Shiro, by the way. I'm pretty sure Shiro, Kiwi, and Sudesu literally dropped a new song like last night, and it fucks.
Yeah.
So go listen to it.
It's awesome.
All right. Who up they next? Do you have a dream Mousy friend that you wish could have been available to work on this? Oh God.
I mean, the more the merrier, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess the more the merrier. But at this point, like, I'd just be going, like, who would be, like, a dream person for me to work on, for like, the work with the voice with?
I don't know, at least for me, like, I'm just so grateful that we got to work with the people that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I take what I get, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this was definitely just anyone is cool. I was trying not to, like, get any hopes. Narissa I would die if Narissa Ravencroft's vocals end up on my desk. You would find me passing out.
Yeah.
Like, I know Narissa has been flirting with, like, 50 different women on Twitter in the past, like, 12 hours, but, like, I don't mind. she can flirt with whoever she wants. If those vocals end up on my desk, I'm on the floor. No, I mean, I definitely have like some like bucket list, I guess, if you want to call it, like vocalists that I would love to work with. Not even because they're like big creators or anything like that, but just because their voices are fascinating. And like Nerissa is definitely one of those. Like, that woman's got a fucking voice, you know? And there's so many like fantastic VTubers that I've come across some people who have a very small community and have some of the best voices that I have ever heard, and I've had the privilege to work with some of them. So it's not that for this project that I necessarily had I really wish this person was on it. It was just really cool to have as many people as we had a part of this. I don't know if any of you have like bucket list vocalists.
I mean, I don't know. Anyone. I just love working with people. Like making good music is like the most important thing for me. So anyone I can do that with is cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, totally.
I thought you were in a car.
Anyone who's like, but actually I'm on a yacht. But actually I'm in a plane. But actually I'm in space. And now I'm a race car.
Oh my god, race car. Can you say that backwards?
But no.
I know. we should have gotten Lightning McQueen. We didn't reach out.
Yeah, we didn't reach out to Lightning McQueen. I know Lightning McQueen is great friends with Iron Mouse, obviously. Rosa, look at DMs real quick. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nova. Fuck you.
We'll keep that in mind for the next one, Riku.
That red imposter.
Okay, well, currently, chat, we don't have any additional questions that anyone has submitted, so if you still have anything that you would want to know from us, let us know. We'll still be here for a little bit, but we're probably gonna start wrapping up decently soon, because we've been here for like 2.5 hours. We don't want to... I don't want to keep these two folks here for too long. They're very, very glad they were both willing to join me for this, because if I was sitting here on my own, not only would I not be able to answer some of your questions, because the technical knowledge of both of these two people far supersedes my own, but also it would just feel very disingenuous, because there are so many people who helped on this project, and I do not want to be the face of it. As much as I'm thankful that, like, Iron Mouse shouted me out specifically at the end of that stream, if you watched my reaction to that, you can immediately hear me say, please don't just thank me, there are so many people on this, and I mean that. So thank you both for being willing to join me on this.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
What's your routine for getting that shine to your eyes? Working with a very cool artist partner. Smile. Actually, I don't know if they edited the texture for my eyes at all. I don't actually think they did. This is a pre-made model that my partner helped me edit a lot of the textures of, which is why it looks the way that it does. Personal question for everyone then: what are y'all's musical backgrounds? Oh God. Anyone else want to start that one? Because mine is a lot.
I can start with mine, I guess. So I've been doing music for as long as I remember. I started with classical guitar when I was young. My parents got me into that, and then I kind of dabbled with a couple different instruments throughout like my grade school years. But I first joined my school choir back in I think it was 4th or 5th grade or something, and ever since then I've been singing, and I don't know, just always been surrounded by music. And at some point around 10 years ago is when I first picked up digital audio software, started trying to make some stuff, and I don't know, to make a long story short, I just was floating around for a while, and now I'm blessed and privileged to be working in such a great space.
Yeah.
What about you, Lecture?
Like, I come from a musical family, so like my mom is a singer. She sang professionally for a while in like concerts and stuff. And my dad is a pianist. And was a pianist. They don't sing or play very much anymore, but they're insanely good. And then I was born, and then from the age of 4, I started like playing guitar, and I always sang with my mom. And I played guitar with my brother. He is also a guitarist. Played guitar for most of my life, and then I picked up piano because obviously my dad played piano, so I learned piano. I just was interested in everything, so I just like picked up as many instruments as I could. Played guitar and piano up through like most of my life through school. Not in school, but just on my own. Just like picking up tons of songs and learning instruments. And at the age of like 12, I started doing production for like music. Most of my background was like either like rock, blues, or metal. Yeah. And my other brother was really interested in classical music and jazz. So I have like pretty much many genres. So yeah, most of that like came from there. And then I just kind of went on my own like little train like of EDM where I eventually met Chris. And we just like have been like hanging out and making music for like most of like the last 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
What a wonderful journey it has been with you all.
I'm stayed.
Yeah.
For me, I started very early in my life as well. I do not come from a like particularly musical family. Like my mother was in like did like band practice for her like school years, but never pursued it. When I was, I believe, 5 years old. Now, I could be wrong, it could be 4, it could be 6, but somewhere around that age range. For Christmas, I got gifted one of those, like, very shit-sounding toy pianos, just because, my parents saw that I always liked, like, sitting next to the radio and just listening to it, so they were like, oh, well, we'll give you a thing that you can hit with your fists and it makes noise. Because you're not meant to actually play anything coherent on those. But me, being the very neuronormal child that I was, like, sat next to the radio and tried to, like, figure those songs out. Now, I didn't do very well. It's not like that I had perfect pitch and I was like Mozart, 4 years old, figuring out entire pieces, like, by ear immediately. No, absolutely not. But, my parents saw that I was enjoying it. So, like, a year or so later, they were like, do you maybe want to start lessons? Like, do you want to, like, start doing, like, piano or keyboard lessons? And I said, sure. So when I was 7, I started keyboard lessons. First teacher I had was very by the book, very, you learn your scales, you go through all of your theory exams, you do your solfege, all that sort of stuff. Which, to be fair, I do think a lot of that is important to an extent. It is good to have, at the very least, a basic knowledge of music theory, just so that you can communicate with other people, not even just for yourself, but mostly just because it makes communication easier if you ever work with somebody else.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, that, initially, when I was that young and naive, slowly made me more and more uninterested. Because at some point, this, like, I had to learn how to read sheet music, and, when you first learn how to read sheet music, like, you're slow, right? You are not sight reading anything. You have to, like, look at every note and think for, like, 10 to 15 seconds what that note is. Solfege is a made-up lie for dinguses. No, it is useful. It is genuinely useful. I do like to shit-talk solfege, but it is also genuinely useful. For the people who don't know what it is effectively memorizing and being able to tell what the interval between two notes is. So, like, your teacher would play 2 notes, and you would need to be able to tell, oh, that is a minor third, a major third, a perfect fifth, that sort of stuff. And then just that, but, like, escalated up to 11, as deep as you want to go into that rabbit hole. I can do that without learning made-up goofy syllables. Just let me say the numbers. But like when I got given a piece of sheet music, and I was very early on in learning that, it took me way too long to figure out each note, and I got bored of it. So I just started trying to figure it out by ear. And I wasn't always very fast at that either, but it felt more fun to me to do it that way. Like, I would still be, like, pressing every note until I go, like, yeah, that one sounds right, with, like, no real rhyme or reason behind it. And then I would come back to class that week, and my teacher would go, like, that's not what the sheet music says. And then I'd go, yeah, but that's what it sounds like. Like, that's what the song that you want me to play sounds like. That teacher, like, humored me for a little bit, but still tried to stick to the book. But then he was very old, so he retired. I got a new teacher, and he was a bit younger. He was, like, in his early 40s. And very early, he figured out my passion for video game music. Very early on. And that was right around the time that Undertale came out. And I think in our first year together, we just did the entire Undertale soundtrack. He stopped giving me sheet music as well. He was like, you like figuring things out by ear? Let's train that. Let's work on that. And see how that goes. And we just started, I just started learning how to play these songs. And he was a very smart man because I was so interested in these. He was just like, oh, and the reason that this was made the way that it was is for this reason. Then he would teach me a new theory thing. And then suddenly I'd be a lot more interested. So now I'm a lot more interested in music theory because I've learned it through the avenue of things that I enjoy. And then I just spent a couple of years, like, putting stuff on the internet. If you're here from the very early days of my channel, I used to make a lot of, like, musical arrangements or piano arrangements, or, like, even lo-fi remix arrangement of music from Destiny 2, the game that I now hate and no longer play. But, like, that's how I started. And then eventually I got sucked into the VTuber rabbit hole, and a friend of mine at one point said, you do music, right? And I said, yeah, I do. And then they said, have you ever, like, mixed someone's vocals before? And I said, no, but I'll give it a shot. And that's how I got my first, like, job in the industry. And, fast forward 2.5 years later, and I'm still here. I almost quit one time. But we don't talk about that. I'm still here, thanks to a lot of people that kind of kept me along with cool projects and like showing me that there's a lot of love in this industry, despite there being a lot of hate as well. I'm sure that we've seen a lot of hate over the last couple of weeks in this community, but there's a lot of people who really care for each other. And that's why I'm still here, and that's why I'm working on these projects. My story was so much longer than the both of you, and I feel so bad for rambling for this long. Oh my god.
Oh, sorry. I just kind of, like, I didn't know how long we wanted to make it, so I just kind of, like,
yeah,
gave the Cliff Notes version of mine. I could have also talked for a while. Don't feel bad.
It's just, I'm the kind of person, like, I'm a fucking vinyl. Like, once you put the needle on it, you gotta let the whole record play out. You can't just skip to the next song, you know? You gotta let it play.
That's funny.
But yeah, I just ended up here mostly by complete chance, and took a while for me to find my footing. But once I did, I feel like I have been embraced ever since, and I love all of the people that I work with very, very dearly. Shout out Riku for introducing me to some wonderful people, and shout out to those wonderful people for sticking with me. Chris Lightshard, you know who you are. Because you're here, and I just said your names. Who are you?
I just work here.
Fuck you, that's my line. Fuck you.
I have a history of stealing other people's things.
That's my line, goddammit. For the people that don't know, I guess I have to explain that. Because I've been working on these projects recently with, like, a lot of bigger creators and a lot of people who, at least, every artist is their own hardest critic or harshest critic. I I'm very critical of myself, and I find that a lot of the people that I get to work with are far more experienced than me, and sometimes I don't agree with me having ended up in a position like this, and I need to stop those thoughts, obviously. So whenever someone, like, points out, like, wow, you're kind of doing some insane things, or like, wow, that's really cool that you're working with those people, or like, how did you get to work with, like, people who are that skilled or like that, like, big on the internet, my response by default is always, I don't know, I just work here. Because if I think about actually answering that question, one of two things will happen. If I'm in a good mood, it'll go to my head, and I'll get cocky, which is bad. If I'm in a bad mood, I will start getting massive imposter syndrome and comparing myself to these people and thinking that I actually suck, which is also bad. So my blanket answer is just, I don't know, I just work here. And just leave it there, because I do just work here. I just happen to be here at this place in this time doing my job.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this kind of feels like right place at the right time, for one reason or another. But honestly, it's really cool to be able to do it with people who you respect as peers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I saw that I just work here in Ironmouse'S. I did put that in her chat, didn't I? God damn it. Dude, I embarrassed myself so much in those 30 minutes, but I'm so glad that I had the foresight to hit that recording button, because, like, I don't like looking at it now, but not only has it brought a lot of people to my channel, which obviously I'm very thankful for. If you're someone who came from that video and, like, didn't know who I was beforehand, and you watch that video and you hit the sub button, which, like, 400 people did for some fucking reason, thank you for that. That's fantastic, and I hope that I'm able to push out more cool stuff that you'll enjoy. But also just, like, I'm so glad I had the foresight to do that, because in a couple of months, that's going to be really fun to look back at. In a couple of months, I won't be immediately embarrassed once I open that video.
Yeah, I mean, this project has really been, I don't know, it's like, I feel like every big project is like this, but, like, truly, this feels like a career highlight.
Yeah,
and,
no, 100%.
It's really cool. It's really cool to have been a part of this, and for everyone who's said kind things about the work that we've done for this charity single. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say it means the world, and we appreciate everyone being here.
Speaking of charity as well, the Tiltify fundraiser's up to 11,500. I believe the YouTube video is, like, well past 5,000 on the fundraiser. We have the Bandcamp revenue to still add to that. We have, like, video ad revenue and revenue from streaming services to add to that. So, like, we've raised so much money for the Immune Deficiency Foundation together, and if you at all contributed to that, and I don't just mean donating, I mean if you watched the video, if you listened to the song, in some way you've contributed to it. Hell, if you want to contribute to it, fucking keep the YouTube video on replay. And just let the ads play out. Turn off your ad blocker and put on the YouTube video in the background on loop. If you wanna help the cause. I'm not telling you all to, like, bot our song, but if you want to do that, like, that genuinely does help us out. And it helps out so many people who are in dire need of the help that the Immune Deficiency Foundation provides. Obviously, primary immunodeficiencies they don't have any cure, but they can still help those people live better lives, and they deserve to live those better lives. So, if you have any way to support, please, by all means, do so, whether that is monetarily or whether that is by supporting projects like these, listening to the songs, and yeah, I'm kind of running out of things to say. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think we've covered so much.
Yeah,
today,
we've covered
honestly.
a lot of things. I'm gonna need to, like,
been really
scrub
cool
through
to talk
this.
about all this.
to finally talk about this too, because oh boy, we had to just lock
yeah.
ourselves up in a bunker basically for a month and a half. And we were the only people that were able to talk about this project with each other, and that was it. So yeah, to be able to finally share that excitement with people has been really, really fun. Anyone have any final words before I start sending everybody off?
I don't think so.
I just pulled up here.
I don't know. I just work here.
Yeah. Thank you everyone who's watching. Genuinely, so much for being here. Thank you for supporting this effort to support a great cause, and hopefully we can do it again.
Hell yeah. Well, in that case, I have to do a very quick spiel before we wrap up here today. First of all, thank you all so much for being here. If you are on Twitch, I've always wanted to do this, but I never do it because we never have that many people here. I want to send you over to a creator that I really enjoy, who literally just started streaming 3 minutes ago. On Twitch, I'll send you all over to the 8-Bit Drummer. Fantastic musician. If you missed out on Office Drummer having a very fun time playing music, or playing like Music Box of Fate, this guy has a lot of fun playing along with drums too. So big ups to him. I'm gonna send you all to 8-Bit Drummer in a moment. I put the whole link in there. God damn it, that's not how the raid commands works. If you're on YouTube, hit a sub. I make videos occasionally talking about projects that I've worked on. There's none on the channel currently, apart from the one about Music Box of Fate, but there's going to be more of those in the near future. So, yeah. Sub, join the Discord if you haven't yet. I have my own Discord. There's the command in Twitch. YouTube, it'll be in the video description. I will be making sure to timestamp this VOD with all of the questions, so if you want to go back and you missed anything, you can do that right then and there. And yeah, and then I will hopefully see you all on stream again very, very soon, or in my community, or somewhere else, on Twitter, on social media, or maybe I'll never see you again, and I hope that you have a very good rest of your time on the internet. Right. That'll be it from us. Have a great rest of your weekend, y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.